Hey house guests, welcome to today's Big Brother 17 updates and spoilers. Our house guest of the day is Rodana Jackson. I hope you're having a wonderful day, or now really early morning. Sorry this is so late guys, but it's been crazy. So the past 2 days have been insanely dramatic and action-packed. So let's just dive right in. This is where things really kicked off. So yesterday, Audrey was talking to Clay and Austin in the backyard, and she was telling them how she feels really frustrated, that she's so isolated, and this is something that she's been talking about and bringing up with her alliance for a while now. So like, I feel bad for her. I mean, she does create a lot of drama, but at the same time, like, no one really wants to work with her. It's kind of sad. So she's like, yeah, it seems like everyone has a partner except for me. So then Clay tells her, you need to stop being paranoid and just trust people, and like things will start, you know, falling together, falling into place. So then like, she didn't really like that. So things started getting heated between Clay and Audrey. Audrey's like, geez, I had one bad day, so I don't get why everyone's excluding me. One bad day, I feel like it was a lot more than one. But Clay is just like, Shelly has really stuck her neck out for you time and time again, and we haven't really seen you reciprocate that. We don't feel like you're going to bat for us. And Audrey starts getting really emotional. She's crying, she's freaking out. She's just like, I'm offended right now. Like, what do you want me to do? Chop off my arm and give it to her? Like, what am I supposed to do? So this goes on for a while. There's a lot of back and forth there. It's just like, it's like a tennis match, except it's Audrey and Clay like yelling at each other. So then Clay goes up to the HOH room, reports this conversation to Shelly and Vanessa. He didn't do a very good job of this though. He was just like, yeah, Audrey, she's up to her tricks out there, and I don't really remember what she said. And then she was like, well, and I was like, well, oh wait, no, I don't really remember. He was not very good at explaining what happened, but he did say like Audrey, he feels like is always playing the victim, and he's sick of it. He really doesn't like that. So then a few minutes later, Audrey goes up to the HOH room, and things get crazy because she's just like, I want to tell you what happened. Shelly, will you please mediate between me and Clay? And they're just like, ooh. So Audrey lets them know like she's upset that they think that she's not reciprocating, and they think that she's not trying to protect them. So Vanessa asks like, how are we supposed to trust you when you don't trust us fully? Like, it has to work both ways. So Audrey's like, you don't understand, I've been in defense mode this whole game, and you haven't like walked in my shoes. So then Shelly's like, bleh, we have, blah blah blah. So then Audrey and Vanessa start arguing, and Audrey, those claws come out. Between the two of them, the claws came out. Audrey is like, well, I'm concerned that you're working with Steve, which is true. So then Vanessa gets pissed that Audrey brought this up, and she's like, Audrey, you're just trying to drive a wedge between me and Shelly and Clay. Like, we all see that this is happening. Audrey denies it, of course. She fires right back at Vanessa. She's like, you're an amazing manipulator. She brings up Vanessa's HOH and how she handled Jeff's eviction, and how she really like orchestrated that whole thing to make it look like Jeff had to go home. So then Clay starts getting involved again. He's yelling, he's calling Audrey a liar. He's like, we can't believe anything you say. You're bringing us all this information, but who cares, because we have to check with other people. Blah. So then Audrey's like, you are gonna look like, you're gonna feel like an idiot when you watch this show back. And Clay's just like, I'll take that risk. So at this point, it's pretty clear that Audrey is not gonna be able to patch things up with her old alliance with Shelly and Clay and Vanessa and all them. So it's time for her to make some moves. So she goes and talks to James, and she decides it's time to out the whole sleeper cell Sixth Sense alliance. So she's not in the Sixth Sense alliance. That is so hard to say. But it's confusing because she mentioned Liz as part of this group, but Liz is not in the sleeper cell. She's in the Sixth Sense. So I think she just meant that all those people are working together, but they're not necessarily all in the same alliance, but they are, but she doesn't know that. So, first, she tells James that Vanessa totally set up Jeff last week. That was her plan all along, and James is just like, what? What's going on? So then she tells him about the alliance. She's like, it's Shelly, Clay, Austin, Liz, Vanessa, and me, but they kicked me out of the alliance. How do you like that? So James cannot believe that Shelly and Clay are working with them. He's just like, what? Oh man, Clay really messed up, man. Clay's been lying to me. So Audrey then tells James about her new plan. She wants to convince Vanessa to keep the nominations the same so that it'll be Johnny Mac and Jason still up on the block on Thursday. They're gonna act like they're voting Jason out, but instead evict Johnny Mac and then group everybody up together and go after that big alliance. So Audrey's like, okay, so for this to work, you cannot tell Jason any of this information until after the power veto ceremony, because she figures if Jason gets all this info, he's gonna use it against her and try to get her up on the block. So she doesn't want that to happen, obviously. Alright, so then Audrey shares all this information with Jackie. James tells Meg. It's spreading around the house like crazy. And when Meg first finds out about all this stuff, she's pretty skeptical. She's like, you know what? Audrey's saying all this crazy stuff because she knows that she's going up on the block, and she's going to say anything that she can to prevent it, or, you know, to stay safe if she does end up on the block. So then Meg thinks about it a little more, and she's like, you know what? Even if this is true, we still need to get rid of Audrey. So then Clay comes in the room while Meg and James are talking, and James just spills all the info to Clay. He's like, yeah, Audrey's told me that you're in this alliance and blah, blah, blah. Clay freaking denies it all. Duh, what do you think he's gonna do? Oh yeah, I am in that alliance. Yep, it's all true. So then Meg tells Jason all the information about this alliance and the plans and such, and they have a good old laugh about it. They think that Audrey is nuts. She made all of this up. At this point, Audrey is like the girl who cried wolf. But this time, it's for real, yo! All this information is true, and you are freaking, oh, you're blowing it. Alright, so they were also laughing that James believed her. They were like, he's such a sucker. So Clay goes back up to the HOH room, lets Shelly know what's going on. He's like, yeah, Audrey's, sorry. It's almost 2:30. He lets Shelly know Audrey's going around, she's spilling this alliance, she's spilling all of our secrets. Shelly gets really angry. She's like, that bitch. So Clay is like, you know what, it's not that bad though, because nobody's believing it, so maybe we can clean this up and it's all gonna be okay. So then Vanessa and Audrey are chatting in the have-not room, and Vanessa's like, you know there's like no way I can trust you now, right? And Audrey's like, I got nothing to lose at this point. Uh-oh. So Shelly decides she wants to hash things out with everyone except for Audrey. She doesn't want to call like this big group meeting because those tend to not go so well, and there's a lot of like blah, 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 and it gets all crazy. So she wants to meet with everyone in the house except for Audrey in like these tiny groups. So the first group, it's her, Clay, Meg, James, and Jason. She wants to find out what Audrey has said. So she's pulling all this information out of them, and she's denying everything, of course. Eventually, it becomes a full house meeting, except for Audrey. So freaking everyone in the house is up in that HOH room except for Audrey. Shelly kind of tells them like a half-truth. She's like, yeah, we were in this alliance with Audrey, but it wasn't real. So then everybody's like going around the room listing their grievances with Audrey, and they're all agreeing Audrey has to go this week. So Shelly's like, I want to make this clear. I want this to be, she doesn't talk like that, I want this to be a house decision. She does not want all of the blame or credit or whatever for this to be on her. So she wants it to be a house decision. Everyone's just like, yes, yes, just do it, whatever. And they also say, like, we want to start fresh next week once Audrey's gone because she was making us all hate each other. Pfft, come on, you know they're not going to start fresh next week. it's just not gonna happen. So then after the big house meeting, all of the house guests, again, except for Audrey, were playing charades in the living room. Audrey was in the diary room for a long ass time. So they finally realized, like, maybe she's talking to a psychiatrist, or maybe she's trying to leave the game. So she finally comes back from the diary room after midnight. She goes straight to the have-not room, and everyone's just like, what's going on? So then, like, wacky stuff started happening. The feeds went off for a while. It was really weird. It was like 20-ish minutes. And when I say off, I don't mean like they were showing the fish tank. I mean like the feeds were black. Like there was nothing going on there. So then like all the timestamps were off for a while by like 20-something minutes. And it's just like, what is going on? So then a little while later, after she got out of the diary room, Audrey went and sought comfort from Vanessa. She went over to her bed. She was upset. She was crying. She was not in a good place, and she was not wearing her microphone, so it was really hard to hear her. But she was saying like she wants to leave, and she's like, ugh, she's not happy. So Vanessa is trying to comfort her. She's telling her like, this is just a game. She's trying to put things into perspective. Like, she's telling her, you have a life outside of this that you're going to go back to, and everything's going to be okay. Just, like, relax. So she is trying to help her out. And then James was also trying to comfort her. He was like, I'll be friends with you on Facebook after this is all over. Okay, but some of the house guests were a little bit skeptical about Audrey's panic attack, and Jason was one of those house guests. He was really like, wow, it's convenient that Audrey is crying to the power of Veto holder. Like, is anyone else noticing that? And I have to say, like, he makes a good point. But I don't know. I think she was kind of having a panic attack, meltdown, whatever you want to call it. But, you know, maybe she did think about who she was going to go seek out. So this morning, all the house guests were waiting around for the power of veto ceremony. They usually do this in the morning on Mondays. But Audrey was in the diary room forever again, and they were wondering, like, maybe it's some sort of health problem. Like, she mentioned something about like a chemical thing last night, so I don't know if it's like a chemical imbalance or something, if it's like from all the hormones that she has to take or what. But Audrey finally exited the diary room at like 4 something, again, goes right to the have-not room. And then they finally had the power of veto ceremony. Even though they waited for her to get out of the diary room, she did not go to the ceremony. She stayed in the have-not room. So Vanessa used the POV on Jason as planned, and Shelly nominated Audrey. So it's Audrey and Johnny Mac up on the block. We're gonna pick it up here tomorrow. It's crazy. So let me know what you guys are thinking in the comments. Do you think this whole Audrey thing is legit? Do you think she was going to Vanessa trying to get some sympathy? Let me know what you think. And until tomorrow, much love. Edit.